Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Shalom. It's the brother from the City Indianapolis camp. I want to start out by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakodash, the one that's our apostle, elders, great millstone, that teaching with will. Peace, better safe to the whole for pushing this truth week in, week out, in sincerity, charity, and in love. All right, we're just going to get right into it, man. As you see up on your screen, you have this woman out here, professing to know the scriptures, out here teaching, the words of the Bible, and not even teaching it correctly at that. She knows a few things, but, on the outside looking in, this woman looks like a stud, man. And she's not, if she was really following the scripture, she would find her husband and let her husband teach her, but this is the outrage that we in right now, man. This is I can't think of the word I'm looking for, Salakia. This is the bad place that we in as a nation. Where our women think they can get up and start teaching, man. What the Lord didn't ordain for this to be. I'm going to get a few scriptures, to back up what I'm saying, man. All right, I'm going to start at 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 5. It says, "For there is one power and one mediator between Yahweh and men." And it say women, it said men. All right, and the Lord is letting it be known throughout the scriptures that he's dealing with men and not everybody, man. It says, the man, Amashiach Yahweh Shai, who gave himself a ransom for all to be testified in due time. Whereunto I am ordained a preacher and an apostle. I speak the truth in the Mashiach and not lie, a teacher to the Gentiles in faith and in verity. It says, I would therefore that man, once again, he's letting you know it's going to that possessive man, because this is who he's talking to, that man pray everywhere, lifting up the holy hands without wrath and doubting. And like manner also that women ordain themselves in modest apparel, shamefacedness, and sobriety, not with broad hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array, but which becometh a woman professing godliness and good works. All right, so a woman supposed to be confessing godliness and good works. She's supposed to be covered up. Her hair supposed to be a certain type of way. She's supposed to really have on a dress. She's not supposed to be all fancy out there. Those long braids like, the so-called daggers have. It says, let the women keep silence and let the women learn in silence and with all subjection. All right? These are not hard words to understand. This is not a hard thing to understand. All right? You're supposed to be in a point of subjection. You're supposed to be quiet. You're supposed to not be saying anything. All right? You're supposed to submit yourself unto a man, and be quiet. All right? And this was going on too in the Corinthian church. Women keeping up a lot of mess, but this still pertains to this day because there's still mess going on. Like her, giving out false information. Trying to be, a teacher of the Lord, man. It says, but I suffer a woman not to teach. All right, so you're not supposed to be teaching. All right, because once again, let me jump back up there. What did it say? It says, for there is one power and one mediator between Yahweh and man. So you're not even supposed to be teaching. You're supposed to be sitting at home. It says, nor to assert authority over a man. So when you go out there, you try to assert authority over a man, try to go out there and teach. When the scripture goes against that, now you're trying to assert authority over Yahweh Shem Shai, because he set this out there. You can't just read the scriptures that feel good to you, that makes you feel like your message is okay or what you're doing is okay. No, you have to do what's according to the Yahweh Shema Shah. It says, uh, but to be in all silence. All right, so you're supposed to be quiet. Even when you go up to the camps, your woman not even supposed to be at the camps talking, without your husband. And if you walk up with your husband, we used to deal with your husband. We're not to even deal with you because the Lord is not dealing with you. Let me jump to. I'm gonna keep going real quick. It says Adam was not deceived, but the woman did being deceived was in transgression. Right? Because Adam was deceived, but the woman, man, all right, because she's the weaker vessel. She was deceived. All right. So the Lord was letting you know, man, all right, who he was dealing with. I'm gonna jump to 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 33. It says, for God is not the author of confusion, because like I just said, they was keeping up a lot of confusion. Women come with confusion. They're combative. They just come with all type of wickedness and confusion all the time. It says, but of peace as in all the churches of the saints. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted to them to speak. All right, so once again, you're not supposed to be talking. When we out on the highways and byways, that is the church. All right, so you women are not even supposed to be talking, man. It says, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded, all right, commanded to be under obedience, as saith the law. All right, so you're supposed to be obedient unto what's being said, man. All right, you're not to be out there teaching. You're not to be out there trying to bring down the scriptures. You know, that's a battleground for the man. It says, and if they learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in a church. All right, so you're supposed to be, like I said, you need to find you a man, that'll deal with you, you know, just like, I don't want to just bear false witness, more like intimate, but you need to find you a man that will deal with you, that'll teach you the scriptures at home, all right? Because it's not permitted for you to be out on the highways and byways teaching. Scripture is a shame for a woman to speak, you know? So you need to sit down, sis. All right, I'm gonna jump to Book of Job, chapter 39, and verse 17. It says, but Yahweh have deprived her of wisdom, neither have he imparted in her understanding. All right, this is going into the woman, man. All right, the Lord has deprived you of wisdom and understanding. That's why you don't understand certain scriptures. That's why you're going off. That's why you have to be taught, you know. And he said, I'm not saying we did this. The Lord said he did this, So she hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. Because Yahweh have deprived her. So the Lord deprives you, man. You know? I'm going to jump to 2 Timothy. It says, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Hamashiach. All right. So being a good soldier, what do soldiers do? Soldiers are warriors, man. All right. The Lord sent warriors out here, you know, for men to be out here. All right. I can go into a lot of scriptures that that gives you the understanding that the Lord was just dealing with men. I'm gonna jump to and we're the ones who the Lord has chosen to go ahead and teach, not a woman. The Lord has not given it unto you to teach. I'm gonna jump to Ezekiel as an example. Salakia. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33, and verse 6. I'm gonna start up a little bit. Actually, I'm starting at 1. It says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, all right, speak to the children of thy people." So the Lord telling you who He told to go out here and teach, Son of man, not women. It says, "And say unto them, when I bring the sword and upon the land, if a people of the land take a man of their coast and set them for a watchman." All right. So the Lord is telling you who He set for a watchman. All right. Who's supposed to be blowing the trumpet? Who's supposed to be giving the sound? Who's supposed to be giving the warning? For you, how about you, how shine, man? If you always, the so-called movies these days and the so-called women queen of worship era that we in, they teaching women, women were warriors, and that might have been some, but that wasn't the way Yahweh Shirah Shai. The way of the Lord was for a woman to be submissive to her husband, and know the order of things. For it's God, man, women, and then the children. All right? The man is the head, you know? This is, I'm going to stop right here when I go to, I'm going to jump to the book of Acts real quick. I want to say it's 22. Salaki. Acts 2. Bear with me, brother, just a second. I can't find the scripture, but the scripture quotes is hear these words, ye men of Israel. Just another scripture to let you know that the Lord was dealing with Israel. All right. Throughout all the scriptures, the Lord is talking about His covenant being with men. That men are going to, men are pretty much the rulers. And a lot of you women can't get with it because of your pride, of your black woman independence bullshit. But the Lord is going to deal with it, man. For this thing is not of a woman, but it is of a man. The man ought to go out to teach, the women ought to stay home, the women ought to learn from their husbands. All right? Because women are not permitted. All right, so Lord, this is edifying to the body. And with that, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kakodash. We double honor to our apostle and the great minister on that teaching me well. Peace, be safe to the whole for pushing this truth week in, week out, sincerity, charity, and love, and the spirit of Yahweh, Shabbat, about the four corners.